up? We are back on the CEO Pulse podcast where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. And with us today on a Mindset Monday is my co-host, Justin Thorstad.
Thank you. I'm waiting for the sound effects.
Justin.
That was better.
That was better.
Yeah. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Making progress.
I'm telling you, dude. I mean, like something's got to give. So, very, very interesting topic today that we have for you guys. It's we want to talk about getting your shit together, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just your regular shit. It's very important shit that you're getting together.
Shit.
Very specific shit that we're gonna get together in this show. So I am really, really looking forward to breaking that down. And also, as you can tell, like this is the first episode that we have in the new podcast room. So we'll try it out. We're checking out the audio. So bear with us if we see any glitches or technical difficulties. Hopefully we won't get any of that. But if you do, well, I mean, it's a free show, so yeah, deal with it. Without further ado, how about we keep rolling?
Just dive right into it.
Dive right into
Talk
it.
about getting your shit together. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I do it. All right. So get your shit together. It's very specific kind of stuff, right? And yeah, the term might be a little bit obnoxious or offensive to some, but not to us, obviously. But it's very specific, and this is a topic that you brought to the table. And by that you mean get your self-care handled, get your happiness dialed in, get your inner peace figured out. And then get time, and more specifically, you time, right?
Totally.
So it's an acronym, yeah.
Yeah, so get your shit together is just kind of a fun little acronym.
Yeah.
Like let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're not having fun, you've misread the instructions. So, you know what I mean? So it's just a fun little acronym to help people remember what are the priorities in life, right?
Yeah.
Because I do believe that most people feel like they're giving their all the time and giving it away. And it's like, are you? Because most people are not running at 100%. Capacity, right? Because they give, and they never fill their cup up. And so they may be at 30% of their cup, and yes, they're giving 100% of their 30%. And so it's like, if you really do want to give more back to humanity, to your family, to your honey, to your business, like you got to fill your cup up so you got more to give. You can't give something you don't possess, right? So that shit is an acronym for self-care, happiness, inner peace, and you time. So to fill your cup so that you've got more you to bring to the party. Because it's not always, especially in business, because this is about mindset of entrepreneurs, right? It's not, I'm a firm believer, based on my experience and the hundreds of people I've coached into major success, is that it's not so much the strategy and the skill set of what you're doing, more than it is who's showing up to the process, who's showing up to the party, what version of you, right?
And by who you mean what version of you is showing up to that
totally,
process.
absolutely. Yeah. Is your cup full, man? Are you bringing all of you to the party, or are you bringing like you're running on fumes?
Yeah.
And then you're giving 100% of that. Like how effective is that going to be, right?
It's interesting you say that, man. I just had a very recent conversation with one of my new students. They went through the process, went through the onboarding. They committed to taking the program, and like they jumped into the whole coaching portion of it, right? During the last part of that, I have a welcome call, and we go over just expectations and what to how to tee it up and kind of lay the road for success, right? And as I'm doing that, the question that comes up, or the question that was presented was, if I commit to this, will I get results? I was like, how much? But you already paid thousands of dollars. To like that's pretty committed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you don't commit, what kind of results do you think you're
exactly?
Gonna
Well, I mean, what are we doing here? It's I'm not trying to mock anybody, right? But it really speaks to how you show up to any situation in your life. If you're taking steps, you're walking in the direction of where you want to head, but you're not really taking a full swing at it. I mean, you're going for what do you call them? Just like taps instead of home runs, or you're aiming, instead of really trying to blow it out of the park. Like that's the kind of results that you're gonna get, right? But that really speaks to how we show up in life altogether, and personal growth is one of those. Professional is another one. Relationship is another one. At the end of the day, like it all comes down to a few elements. Self-care being right at the core of it. How are you showing up to your own self-care, to your own self-growth?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and so I love that this is a great segue of if I commit, will I get results? It's like, it's never your coach's responsibility to to produce results for you. It's yours.
We're
right?
vehicles.
And so the thing about it is when you take a look at that, get your shit together as an acronym to have a focal point and set an intention and pay attention to filling your cup. Because when an elevated version of you is showing up to a process, are you committed? Of course you are. Are you fully present and here in the now and moving forward? Or again, are you running on like half a tank or less?
Yeah.
And so
the crazy thing is that people do it by choice.
Yeah.
Almost.
And so by
like,
getting your shit together, you're raising your vibration, your level of witness consciousness, so you can objectively observe yourself in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so you can pay attention more to that negative self-talk, that inner terrorist, right?
Yeah.
That says all kinds of negative things that stops you from getting into action, or you show up half-assed instead of all-ass in. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So like self-care is necessary to fill your cup so that you can show up 100%.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It begins with us, right? We can't give something that we don't have. We can't give happiness if we don't own happiness, from within. We can't make anybody wealthy if we haven't, ran that course and we don't know how to do it, right? And so it's just it's common sense, like to a point, right? But it's not, because it's not so common. I think a lot of times we overkill in the thinking process and neglect to really take care of the most important areas of our lives. Self-care being one of them. What does that look like to you?
Well, and first of all, just to clarify something, the reason I think most people do not become successful is because they do identify with those thoughts. They identify with the mind as if they are the mind. Yeah. So the mind has sucked in the consciousness to direct the consciousness from the mind instead of the consciousness directing the mind.
Right.
And the reason that getting your shit together is so important is because it helps you detach from the mind in order to remember that you're the one witnessing the mind. So therefore, directing the mind and using it as a tool, like an appliance. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So without self-care, you're going to lower your vibration and you're going to become more identified as if you are the mind, therefore listening to its thoughts and identifying that as truth when it's not. They're just thoughts of the mind.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Get your shit together. So self-care. Like, what are you doing as a form of giving to yourself? For ladies, maybe that is going and getting your hairs done and your nails did. You know what I mean? But it could also be like just going for a massage, doing some yoga, just doing something for you to care and love on yourself. And all these examples we're going to give on the SHIT acronym, like, people really need to understand, like, you would actually have to love yourself enough to carve out time to make you a priority. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons people don't. Is they're like, I don't feel like I'm worthy. I don't feel enough. I don't feel significant because I haven't yet achieved X. I haven't yet obtained Y. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like you're never going to get those until you know that you love yourself, until you feel worthy, deserving enough. And a way to do that, a mechanism to get there, is self-care, is paying attention to your own inner happiness, is giving time to yourself, is creating inner peace. And because that version of you showing up to the strategy will always win.
I agree completely. And the crazy thing is that when you force yourself, even if you don't feel like it, when you force some self-care, you start to fall in love with it.
Absolutely.
You start to like it. You start to enjoy it. It's like, oh, wow. I remember, dude, this is a crazy story, right? But really, it's true. All right. So early 20s, I felt silly about wearing sunglasses.
Okay.
All right. I felt silly about why would I wear, I don't know. I look stupid with sunglasses. Why? I have no idea. But I felt silly about wearing, sunglasses. And I used to wear sunglasses like in high school, and then I stopped wearing them. Then when I tried to wear them again, I was like, I felt stupid. I don't know. But like now I think about, something as silly, as that. What was laying underneath it. You know what I mean? So that was one thing. It was just like something that I wanted to wear sunglasses. I felt silly. Like, okay,
story.
what exactly? Yeah. So, I mean, it was me stopping me, right? And then to that, add massages. I love massages and acupuncture and Reiki. And all that. So I go to that on a regular basis. Shout out to Dr. Rachel. She's in Phoenix. She's awesome. So now I do all that kind of stuff on a regular basis, right? Mm-hmm. But it took me a while just to embrace it and not to feel like silly, to feel, okay, this is stupid. This is not like... if you want it, it's it's self-care.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the definition. We can leave it as vague as that. You know what I mean? Because what self-care for me may be different from you, from somebody else. But at the end of the day, if you feel like that activity is giving to you and caring and loving on you, then it works.
People torture me with cold weather and ice. That to you is self-care.
Committed to getting you into my
that to
freezer.
you is that means that you don't care for me. you just said that you hate me and you want to kill me.
I am more certain that I understand the true value you could create from that space. And my self-care every morning is getting into my chest freezer with that ice cold water. It's not even that ice cold, to be honest with you, because that had to be 32 degrees or less, right? I don't believe it. I like mine like 44, even 48. So peachy. You know what I mean? You still get the health benefits. It reduces cortisol, stress hormone, epinephrine, stress hormone, and it boosts dopamine. It reminds me that when my mind and body are stressed and panicking, that I'm in there and I'm the one witnessing my mind and body to calm it down. That to me is self-care. It puts me back in that seat of witness consciousness, that I'm the observer of the mind and body. And to set my morning that way, to finish my morning ritual that primes my state and ending it on that note, keeps me conscious throughout the day. And then when I fall from that state, I get to pay attention to what did I give my power away to, because that now is my teacher.
For me it's a little different. It's workouts. Me my workouts are heavy. I push I go hard on the workouts and I just push myself, and I like to get myself to that point where I'm quitting. And like, I'm quitting, but I know I got some. I know I have fuel left, and it becomes, and it's probably the same, similar, to the effect that you get when you go into the ice bath, right? But for me, it's pushing. It's what?
This is better.
Oh yeah. Okay. Whatever. But it's pushing myself to that space where, man, I don't want to do the next rep. I really don't want to do it. Yeah. Breaking point. And then I say, fuck it, and I go through with it. And I feel really good, and I squeeze out another 5, 10, right? So I go, above and beyond. It's almost like a micro victory, right? But it sets you up mentally,
totally,
in that right track. Like if I feel like I'm failing, I get to recognize myself. Like when I get to a real challenge, it's like, okay, cool, this is just like a workout.
Totally.
This is mentally speaking, right? Mentally speaking.
If people can grasp that. Because same thing with me and my cold therapy. When I get in, don't you think my mind is screaming, my body is yelling, get out. You don't have to do this. No one's going to know. Just get the fuck out, man. It's cold. This sucks. And it's like, no, I am not a hostage. I'm not a slave to my mind and my body with its urges, impulses, and desires. I'm the one in there directing these tools. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you have a toaster. You put toast in there. Why? To toast the bread. You have a mind and body to direct it as instruments of your consciousness, not to be a slave to them. And so whether it's a workout, whether it's cold therapy, like there's infinite modalities you could use to accomplish this. Right. So what's your practice? You know what I mean? Like you get to decide that. And I would encourage people to try different things, see what works best for you. Yeah. And there's health benefits to the exercise. There's health benefits to the cold therapy. Cold therapy is better than exercising because you could exercise then get into cold therapy. Yeah. But, that's a topic for another time, Raf.
Well, you know what? Whatever, bro.
Whatever.
I choose to keep my sanity. No, but it is. Like, I think at the end of the day, it's being intentional with that thing that resets, right? Yeah. The resets or train of thought that makes us stronger. Every single time, I just mentioned that I stopped working for the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, I didn't do anything, which is very, very uncommon for me. First week, I was traveling. I came back and I traveled some more. So I was in town for a day and my schedule was out of whack. And then I got hit with a horrible wisdom tooth pain. That's what I get for being so wise.
Shit.
Yes.
As long as you laugh, bro.
I did that. That I went happened. There. All right. So, wow. But I got an extraction done, right? So now I feel better and whatnot. But it was like that whole week I was out. It was just a lot of pain. I couldn't work out. Yeah. Anyways, I was in a completely different space. This morning I went and I crushed it at the gym, and I just went back at it. Even though it was 2 weeks, I felt it. I felt the setback, and I felt, the lagging. And towards the end of the workout, because I keep pushing myself to that edge, not in an unhealthy way, right? It's more of a mental challenge, more of a, like, man, it's easy to create a habit of laziness. And I know 99% of the people out there are going to resonate with
Totally.
this. And when I say 99, I really mean 100, but I got to put 1% in there for disclosure and
scientific
liability.
marginal error.
Yes.
But I agree with what you're saying, is because it's like pushing yourself to that limit and then going past it, taking one more step further to show yourself you've got more in there than you think.
Yeah.
And so what's your practice to remind yourself of that on a daily basis so that you get to take that state of being of going past what you thought was possible, one more step into your day. So you can have those hard conversations. Yeah. So you can pick up the phone and make that call. So you can be open, authentic, and vulnerable with people. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have a process to prime your state to start the day that way. Otherwise, you're just going to operate from memories of the past, and you're going to be the same as you were yesterday, and you're going to be predictable in your future. And what the hell is going to be different in your reality if you're operating from the same personality?
Yeah.
And your personality is creating a personal reality, moment by moment.
Yeah.
And so you got to have a process to change the way you think, feel, and behave, your personality, to change your actions.
To manage it, take control. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
are you driving it or is it driving you, right?
Yeah.
So that leads to that second thing, which is happiness, right?
Happiness,
It's the H factor and shit.
Yeah, and I want to be very specific on this because people think, a lot of people think, the misconception is happiness comes from something external.
Yeah.
Your honey, your kids, your work. And it's like, no, wrong. That's invalid.
Yeah.
Happiness comes from within. And so what's your process to invoke that, to remind yourself that these are my emotions and I can unlock them at any time I decide? Most people are using something external as like a mechanism, as a key to unlock that. Whether that's a person, your honey, oh, my honey's responsible for my happiness. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Or they reach out for a substance or food or some kind of behavior to feel happy, to get that hit of dopamine. And it's like, that's a trap. Because at the end of the day, if you utilize that thing that's external to unlock that happiness, didn't you just create that from within? You just thought you needed to get it through a method. It's not true. It's within you.
The one of the biggest things when it comes to happiness is that when I realize, or when I accept it and kind of embrace that happiness is a choice, a lot of things changed. A lot of my attitude changed. My levels of stress changed. But it is just like every other mental mindset, right? Or emotion. It's a choice. We have the ability to be spectators to what's happening and contemplate, and then make a choice after that. Yeah. And we can put ourselves we can try to put ourselves in a state of happiness. But if there's no self-care going on, if there's not a basis for it, it's not gonna it's not gonna trigger. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be a lot harder, right?
Yeah, it's a hell of a challenge.
And you're completely right. It does come from within. A lot, we. It makes me happy to record this, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like the fuel behind that is empowerment. It's a purpose, and that purpose comes from within. So there's going to be a seed. If you go deep enough, you're going to find that seed within yourself that tells you, what the catalyst for your happiness is going to be.
Yeah, well, 100%. And so I want to just kind of dovetail on what you just said. What I just heard you say is, since you have a deep, compelling why, the happiness for you comes as you derive your happiness from the journey, from the process, not getting the end result. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people have backwards is they only experience that happiness when they get their end result. Yeah. Which makes the process an obligation, and makes it work, and it's a hustle, and it's a grind, and somehow there's some fucking glory in that, which is just ridiculous to me. You derive happiness just from the recording, just from going through the motions.
Yeah. So
enjoy the journey.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoying the journey, right? And there's a big difference between extrinsic and intrinsic motivators or drivers. It's extrinsic. It's stuff that's coming from the outside in. And then, for example, here, I don't know. I was really happy last week. I had one of my heroes on the podcast. Gino Wickman is going to air tomorrow.
Nice.
And I was super, amped up about having on the pod. Super happy, right? So that's without a doubt, it's a very happy moment. Yeah. Again, it's still the dominant thought that's going through my head is like, man, how can I get so much value out of this person that's impacted me, so that people can benefit from that. At the end of the day, the purpose driving that action is still internal, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have that grip on what makes you happy, and understand that that's anything that's external is gonna run out. Anything, I mean, okay, so shit. I mean, for example, right now, I don't know, we have a electrical outage, and then am I not gonna be happy anymore? Like, for is my happiness leave my body? Is that how it
happiness
works?
dependent on the weather? I mean,
On the weather, exactly, right? Yeah, but if it's not, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm gonna find another way to empower entrepreneurship and push my purpose forward.
Well, and I think what you just said, I'll use a different example myself as an example of, like, the only thing that I do in both of my organizations and more businesses coming online is I'm just with people, and I create a space in which to empower them to have awarenesses and really make some transformation. That process, to me, whether that happens in any number of sessions, is irrelevant to me. My happiness I derive from just showing up, being outward focused, and sharing and holding space and helping people become more aware of themselves. Like, just that process to me is what makes me happy. So in my organizations, that's all I fucking do. Yeah. I don't take care of bookkeeping. I don't take care of taxes. I don't back-end systems and so forth. Yeah, I manage and oversee some things here and there, inspect what I expect. But again, I know my one role, and me just showing up and doing that is where I derive a lot of happiness. Yeah,
one thing I'm catching too here, and I'm following a pattern, is that you also have an intrinsic driver. It's coming from within. That happiness is sourcing from within, right? The actions that are a byproduct. What's happening outside is a byproduct of your internal, beacon for happiness.
Absolutely. Yeah, the happiness is coming from within. Yeah. And I love being outward focused and supporting people. Like, it's just... So it's not I need something in order to get that. It comes from within, and I'm giving it away. Yeah. Yeah. I
love it, man. Inner peace. That's the third component.
So vital, and I think as a societal norm that's missing so much. Because, again, people are seeking... Well, first of all, most people don't have that sense of inner peace. And I mean inner peace as in stillness, presence, not having the mind just going a million miles a minute, thinking about what's... Most people are using their mind to think about, how do I get what I want, or how do I avoid what I don't want? And the inner peace only comes in those brief, fleeting moments when they finally get what they want. Yeah. It's like, wrong, man. Why is the external such a factor in your inner peace? In fact, you typically don't get what you want, and you do get what you don't want when you're not at peace. Because what you resist persists, and what you run from, you run into. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what's your practice to cultivate that inner peace? And for me, very simple: meditation. At least once a damn day. Like, I don't know how you start your day without some meditation to bring that sense of peace and homeostasis to your nervous system, to your mind, to quiet it down, to calm it, so you can direct it throughout your day.
Give me your definition of meditation.
Yeah. So I think it's such a misconception people have about meditation. Like, I can't meditate because my mind just goes a million miles a minute. Good, great, wonderful. The word meditation means to become familiar with. Yeah. Yes? So why don't you just start meditation by agreeing to sit down, and it could be guided, it could be just some background music, and just notice what the mind says and why it says that. And do that day after day after day. You'll notice a theme. You'll notice patterns. Now you can become more aware of yourself. Now, when you start noticing those themes and so forth, now you know what to go to work on within your mind. You're observing your mind, because that's what ego is. It's the unobserved parts of the mind. Why don't you become aware of that, take stock, and then you can start to pay attention to, here's what I've conditioned myself to. And if you can pay attention to that and realize that you can reprogram through neuroplasticity, you can recondition your mind. So the mind is just a function of the brain. But the really cool thing is, through meditation, becoming familiar with the mind, what it says and why it says it, what is its conditioning. Now you can actually rewire the brain, because neurons that fire together wire together. And when you stop firing those same neurons in the same pathways, those things prune away. What you don't use, you lose. Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. So if you can just pay attention to
it's easy to forget.
Yeah. If you can pay attention to and start becoming familiar with and aware of how your mind is conditioned, you can then go to rework on reprogramming, rewiring the brain that causes a new level of mind. It's really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. And so step 1 with meditation, what my definition is, become aware of your mind. Then step 2 is, okay, now that you become aware of those things and you're going to work on reprogramming it, and you can do that through meditation, through visualization, through your waking moments, then you can also just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to sit down right now as a certain personality that I was yesterday. However, I'm not going to get up until I'm a new personality, until I'm thinking, feeling, and going to behave in a different way. And so the process is to just become familiar with, notice the mind when it has a thought. Like I'd love to sit down and just take a couple deep conscious breaths to relax my body, relax my mind. And then what I focus on is getting to a state where I'm no body, no one, no time, no place, no thing, nothingness. And inevitably, the mind is going to think a thought. And as soon as you become aware of that, just bring it back to nothing. But most what people do is they have a thought, and they're like, oh, man, I thought a thought. What the hell? See, I'm no good at this. Those are just more thoughts.
Yeah.
Why do you got to have an opinion or judgment on it? Just bring it back to nothingness. I mean, I've talked about this before. It's like a puppy. When you're training a puppy, housebreaking a puppy, right? You have a pad somewhere in the house, and you put the puppy on the pad. What does the puppy do? Walks away. So what do? You yell at it? No. You pick it up, put it back on the pad. What does the puppy do? Walk away. Pick it up, put it back on the pad. You keep doing that until the puppy breaks, until it acquiesces and just sits there, until it actually goes to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then what do? Reward it, congratulate it, and let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah? So why don't you just do that for 10 minutes every single day until you can get to the point where you can sit there with no thoughts for 10 minutes. The level of inner peace you will experience and bliss and joy is incredible. Like, I'm not even sure how to put it into words. It's like explaining what chocolate tastes like. It's just something you have to experience.
Yeah.
And that sense of inner peace and the sense of balance and restoration that comes over your nervous system is incredible. You do get up as a different personality. But if you don't sit there until you get to that state and then you get up as the same person that sat down, what do you expect to be different during your reality of the rest of your day?
Yeah, there's no intention behind it, right? Backing it up. It's just, I mean, it's a moment of rest. And I get it. Like, here's the thing with meditation. It's easy. I completely agree with you. It's easy to get lost in trains of thought, right? And for me, it's incredibly difficult to sit there and then just be blank. However, I think if we bring it back to somewhere of more basic spaces, it's gonna be reflection, right? It's reflection, and then stepping down, just getting control of what's going through your mind, right? And if that's a blank space, if that's what's happening, it's giving you, at the end of the day, it's giving you time to reset. It's giving you time to not consume any stuff that's being thrown at you. And that's what I found, like, stimulus. For me personally, any stimulus. To me, it's been one of the biggest benefits of meditating, right? Every single day, constantly, we're just being fed information. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking just about the news, right? Right now, walking into the office building where we're at, you're having conversations, there's different things that are impacting your surrounding.
Totally.
So at the end of the day, we're not original essence anywhere else, mm-hmm. other than an intentional space of meditation. Yes. Everything else is being impacted by something around us, right? So where are we, ourselves? Where are we original? Where are we our true?
Well, the thing about it is all that stimulus, social media and all those platforms, all that stimulus draws your consciousness into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now the mind is just going with that stimulus. Yeah. So where do people have time to create that inner peace?
No, you got to take control of your thoughts.
You do. Yeah. Well, and so that's just it. Is when you get the mind to break and just be quiet. And most people cannot do that. I didn't say they weren't capable. It takes practice. Yeah. And how much time do you think it should take you? Those are just more thoughts. Like, just give yourself the time that it's going to take until you get there. Yeah. Because in my opinion, what the hell else you got to do that's a better use of your time than that, than creating that inner peace. And the reason is, sorry to interrupt you, I want to get to the third stage of, for me, my definition of meditation. When you can get the mind to break and acquiesce and just be still, then, and only then, through true choice, through consciousness, can you direct it to start to open up your brilliant, beautiful imagination. Yeah. And why don't you create in your imagination that potential future reality that already exists, so that you can start to live in it. Because when you can actually use that, when you can quiet the mind enough to then direct it to open up the imagination and create that future experience, like that success, like that achievement, like that whatever it is.
That's where visualization comes in.
Yeah, you're giving yourself the opportunity to mentally, emotionally rehearse that future success as if it's happening in the moment. And you'll know when you've got it because you will biologically have a reaction to it. You'll cry. You'll get goosebumps. I get goosebumps right now just thinking about it. You can see my skin. Like, because I've experienced that so many times in meditations intentionally. And here's the key. That process, in my opinion, is necessary in order for you to achieve. Because the thing about it is your self-image, your meaning-making machine, determines your behavior. And if you don't become aware of what that is and still it, get it to break, and then open it up and be able to experience that success, how the hell are you going to get there? Because the self-image, as of the current state, and what you want doesn't fit. You don't yet have a story of that reality in such a way that you believe it. Yeah. And so what's your process to get that future reality to fit how you think and feel about yourself? Because if you don't have a story in here that fits that result, it'll never be had.
Yeah, I mean, and most people actually walk through life without a story, without a defined intentional place to go, right?
Yeah, well, an upgraded version of one. It's just the one they were given as a child, or the one they made up as a child of who I'm not.
Dude, I can tell you, like, I didn't have a clarity of what even through my first business, I had, like, I knew I wanted to, launch a business. Why? I don't know. It's just
make money.
Yeah, make money, like follow a dollar, right? Which is perfectly fine, but it's not sustainable. It's not going to give you longevity and happiness because. Totally. Unless you get really, really lucky and you strike out, and not strike out, and you like hit it out of the ballpark with something that you actually, you were thoughtful about, and you enjoy it, you like it, and it's actually giving you a lot of money. And that there has to be a thought process behind the want, right? And for me, it wasn't. The only thing I was following was money. I mean, I guarantee you, if I would have sat down to meditate, I don't know, a couple of times and actually figured out what my life path, would have looked like, and kind of, had that imagery where I connected with it, with my feelings, and I, scrapped out stuff that, okay, this doesn't serve you, this does, and fine tune, not even fine tune, just had some degree of direction.
Yeah, it's an intention.
I would have saved 8 years of being spent in a business where I didn't really enjoy. But I mean, it taught me a lot of lessons, right? But I probably would have picked something else. Like that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of times it's because of that lack of awareness, or we have the ability to sit down and figure out and envision where we want our lives to go.
Totally.
Most of the time, it's not done. It's not, a practice that people take on before they actually make some of the biggest, decisions of their lives.
Well, and some people would argue with us. They're like, yeah, but Raph, I don't know how to do that. And it's like, that's because you haven't sat down to do it.
Yeah.
You figured it out along the way.
Yeah.
And I would fair to say that 8 years it took you, like that was all necessary for you to get to the point where you could have the awareness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like wherever you've been and where you are today has all been necessary for you to be where you are in this present moment.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
The last one is going to be the last part of shit. It's going to be the T.
Yes.
You time.
You time.
It's time, but it's specifically you time.
Absolutely. So my time is very simple.
Yeah.
I go on my back patio, I have a cigar, and I'm reading a book or listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, something that is stimulating to me, that interests me, where I'm learning.
Yeah.
Like I love listening to Michael Singer's podcasts, sometimes Aubrey Marcus, like just something dealing with my consciousness and to expand what I already know.
That's after you listen to the CEO Pulse podcast, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Wow. Those are your friends,
If
people?
I want to listen to your podcast, bro, I just come over to your place for a cigar like we do. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm kidding you. No, your podcasts have a tremendous amount of value. So yes, it's whatever content calls you, compels you, that is stimulating and new and opening up your mind.
Okay, so that's what it looks like to you, right? But at the end of the day, I think you hit it right on the head with you time. It's you time. People who are artistic, they're gonna spend time. For example, I spend time playing guitar, right?
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
me time. It's just
perfect.
Like it's a de-stress. I have a guitar in the next room over. Just if I feel stressed and if I'm overwhelmed, I'll sit down and I'll like just pop out a couple of songs and whatnot. And it's just like it's
therapy, man.
Yeah, it's like that decompression, right?
Yeah.
But
I would define, so people are like, I wonder what my me time is. I'll say this. Whatever activity you engage in where you lose all track of time.
Oh, yeah.
That's you time.
I love that. That's great. That's a great descriptor for you time.
That's the criteria.
Yeah.
When you're engaging in that activity and you lose all track of time, that's you time.
Yep.
So whatever it is for you, like, and nobody can judge that, including you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I love it. So you time is whatever you're doing, and then you're losing track of time, and you enjoy it. You have a smile on your face. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, man. It's important to get our shit together, right? Absolutely. As individuals, and these are four principles or four core elements of that. And it really comes down to taking responsibility of our mindset, taking responsibility of our well-being, in terms of self-care, taking responsibility of our time. What are we saying yes to that, creates a no for other spaces that we might want to, spend more time in, right? Yeah. What is the awareness of where is our happiness coming from? It's really up to us. It's really up to us. It's not a battle. Like, you can't go to a psychotherapist and they're gonna give you your fucking solution. It doesn't work that way. You can't go to your mom, your dad, your brother. You can't go to anybody. This is stuff that has to be originated from within, right?
Yeah, through true choice too. Like, this is what exactly. I want for my reasons. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to practice getting your shit together. Yeah. It's not like going home and cleaning the house. Like, it's a one and done type thing. No, this is something that you practice and you rehearse and you redefine and you cultivate and you play with it. Yeah. You really do, until you get it fine tuned and in alignment with you, and it really is fulfillment. Yeah, and there's so much behind it too. I mean, this is an overview, right? This is just a taste. We're planting the seed. Framework. The framework of what happens, right? But you need to take that to the next level. You need to figure out, what does that look like to you? Okay, what does getting your shit together looks like to you? And then take the steps. Forward to and my best advice on getting your shit together, just map something out, carve out that time, and be willing to have a really shitty, rough draft of what it all looks like as far as the processes and the practices, because you're going to redefine it as you go. So enjoy the process. Have fun with it. Yeah. I love it. Well, family, that's how you get your shit together. First of all, we got to know that we have to get our shit together. And then we knock it out that way. So, Justin, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, where's the best place to reach you at? Best place to go is justinthorstad.com. Thorstad's THORSTAD. Social media, of course, Facebook. And my cell phone, always call me, text me, 602-348-8534. I'm telling you, man, I really enjoyed that conversation. If you want to get a hold of me, you know where to find me. Social media at Rafael Cortez, CEO. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram. Make sure that you like the podcast. If you're listening on iTunes or YouTube, like, share, promote it, put it out there. Help us spread the love, right? And subscribe if it's YouTube, and then subscribe if it's iTunes, and subscribe if you can subscribe in anywhere that you're listening to it. So anyways, the point is, please subscribe. We're putting a lot of content out there together and for you guys, and it helps. Every time you speak about it, you talk about it, you put it out there for somebody else. So with that being said, share the love. We're going to call it, share the love. Mindset Mondays. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay focused. You got this. Boom.